This is Mark Huxter. I'm doing the quarterly feedback on both the Cautious and Opportunities Fund. So the first slide that I'm showing you just gives you a quick breakdown of the asset classes. So with global equities, we started off the quarter in June with a bit of a rocky ride, but steadily improved through July to the end of August, where we saw equities up 13%, and in fact surpassing their previous peak in February. And that was at the beginning of September. And that's predominantly through continued support from monetary and fiscal policies. And leading from global equities, we moved to global REITs or property trusts. They also experienced a strong quarter, but only returned half that of the broad equity returns. Global bonds also had a fairly strong quarter, and that was on the back of dollar weakness. The US dollar index was down 6% against major currencies. And lately we've seen increased volatility. So the VIX has risen from about 21 to currently about 30. And surprise, surprise, we've seen bond prices, the dollar, both move higher, as well as equity prices, suggesting that some of the cash that came off the table came off from the equity markets. The stock split of Apple and Tesla triggered a round of euphoria, which is being reeled back at the moment. With regards to the Rand, which is often a barometer of investor sentiment towards emerging markets, we continue to see ongoing volatility and probably with a weakening bias. And then with regard to COVID-19, a vaccine remains certainly of great importance, and hopefully we will see results of the leaders in the race come out by mid-September, i.e. the middle of this month. I think what is important that's happened during the quarter is that the Fed has embarked on inflation averaging, so they're not bound to any level specifically of inflation, and they are embarking on yield curve control. So technically what we should see is a yield curve steepen, which historically has been very good forecaster for corporate earnings going forward. So that's a positive. We're also seeing an earnings recovery underway. So if you look at the 12-month forward earnings on a global basis, we can see on this graphic that they're clearly turning upwards. And certainly US equity earnings have trended quite strongly upwards, and that's in contrast to global ex-US, which remains disappointing, but importantly, it is turning up as well. Unemployment in the US from the height of 14.7 at the end of April, we're down currently at 8.4, so employment is trending in the right direction. The following slide also shows that workers are returning to work, but unfortunately the number of layoffs is slowly increasing. So what we really need, particularly in the US from Congress, is for them to pass the stimulus bill, as this clearly has been of great benefit to those that have been furloughed. With regard to the dollar, on the first slide we indicated that it had weakened. We think this dollar weakness is coming to an end, and clearly this slide shows that we are in a bottoming pattern. So given that background with regards to the performance of the funds and the asset allocation, so with regard to the cautious fund, we are underweight property. We're sort of slightly overweight fixed income, and we're overweight equities, and we're underweight cash. And I guess that would be quite rational, given the fact that a lot of offshore bonds stroke interest rates are yielding 0 to negative returns. And we remain quite aggressively overweight the US dollar. And again, that's fairly rational given the real returns still to be had within the income space in the US. The performance over the quarter, 5.7% in Rand terms, a little bit disappointing at 3.24%, and versus the benchmark of 6.1%. So that's but under at 5.7 vis-a-vis the benchmark. With regards to the Opportunities Fund, I felt that the performance was quite pleasing. And again, from an asset allocation, we're underweight properties, we're slightly underweight fixed income, we're overweight equities, and we're underweight cash. And again, a strong US dollar bias. As I said, the performance I felt was quite pleasing. The quarter returned 9.93% versus a Rand return of 7.38%, and vis-a-vis the benchmark 9.8. So that's 9.81 versus 9.93. That is basically the quarterly report. If you have any questions as to how to access these offshore funds, please address your questions to your trust officer. And from my side, stay safe and well. Remember to observe basic protocols. And as I said last time around, we will come out of this in the near future, hopefully. Thank you for listening, and stay well.